What's up everyone, OJ here. Welcome back to another video. Today we're taking a look at a rumor that I just saw on Go Nintendo, and I wanted to talk about it because I find this to be a mistranslation or something. I'm not really sure what it is, but we're gonna break down what's going on here. We're gonna break down the source, where it came from, and I'll give my full thoughts on this whole rumor with Devil May Cry 5 potentially coming to Nintendo Switch based off of the sales of Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen. Like, I don't even know if that is even like, what? Anyway, so here is the article. Like I said, I first saw this on Go Nintendo. Shoutouts to RMC from Go Nintendo. And he says, or the title of the article says, rumor, Devil May Cry 5 director says a Switch port of the game might be considered if Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen sells well. Maybe could potentially be considered as a possibility. Nice writing there too. Nice little humor on that. I like when they put those little subtitles in there. So let's go ahead and get into it. Some Devil May Cry 5 devs have stated that they'd like to see the series come to Nintendo Switch. That we know for a fact. Now we have a bit of a rumor, which supposedly comes from a M Games interview with Devil May Cry 5 director Hideaki Itsuno. According to a fan translation of the interview, this is what Itsuno said when asked when Devil May Cry 5 isn't on Switch. Quote, "We started the development of Devil May Cry 5 while we didn't have the dev kits for the Switch. Because of that, we concentrated on the PS4, Xbox One, and PC versions. If Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen sells well on Switch, then we might consider porting DMC 5. Now, that seems to be something that's going to be very tough to do. I can understand a little bit because I'm going to take a rational approach on this. Obviously, there's the angry rant approach that I know a lot of you guys are waiting for me to get to, and we might get to that, we might not. But let's take the rational look at it first from a business standpoint, and then I'll get into my own opinion and put the emotion into it. So the first thing that I want to say is that, is it possible that a developer would take funds from a port and say, okay, maybe we can use these funds to make something else, and then we can make money off of that? Absolutely. If Devil May Cry 5 and Dragon's Dogma are in the same boat when it comes to resources and pools and kind of where they come from with development teams and what they're doing, then yeah, it makes sense feasibly that if this game does well, then they can use that money to make said other game. If they don't feel that the investment is solid from the beginning, because this is an RE engine game, it's going to take a lot of work to port a game like Devil May Cry 5 over to Nintendo Switch. That is something that nobody can deny. So if they don't feel like funding it just straight out or out of nowhere, or having confidence in whatever the Switch can do because it would be a late port, then I can see them saying, hey, you know what, Dragon's Dogma does really well, or it does well enough, we get the funds, we can get another team, somebody else, we can hire a Panic Button, or we can hire an Iron Galaxy to port the game over, because it would be a pricey type of port considering how Devil May Cry 5 is, RE engine and all of that. So I can understand from that standpoint where he's coming from. Hypothetically speaking, if this is true, I can see where Capcom is coming from. From that standpoint, development, time, money, what it's going to take in order to port this type of game over to Nintendo Switch, and not just port it over, but get a quality port, guys. A lot of stuff could be sloppily ported over to Nintendo Switch. But do you want that? Do you want a sloppy port? No, you want a very high quality port. And even with high quality ports, people have still complained about high quality ports. We see it all the time. Look at Doom, for example. For what the Switch can do and the port that was brought over, it's pretty high quality, but yet people still complained and got upset about that, and also due to pricing and things like that. But that's also the reason why it's priced that way, because of the price of the port, because of what they have to do and the quality work that they have to get, and of course the cartridges and all sorts of stuff, right? Obviously there could be better prices though. I don't think that's a complete excuse for the prices when it comes to some of these games, but it kind of factors into there in terms of the development and trying to get these games ported over to the Switch, and a solid or a good port. Now, the thing that I wouldn't like to see with Devil May Cry, let's just say this does happen, is a Devil May Cry in 30 frames per second. And I think that's one of the things that the RE engine does so well, is making these games run not necessarily locked at 60 frames. There are some dips if you're on like the PS4, whatever the case is, but it's pretty good. It's pretty high frame rate, really good graphics. What I'd hate to see is, okay, you have the graphics that take a hit, but then also the frame rate takes a huge hit as well, which we've seen before with the game like Doom, for example. But I think Doom with the first-person shooter, yeah, that's important, but I'm not sure if it's as much as an action game, a combo-heavy action game. Games like Bayonetta, in my opinion, have to be more like 60 frames per second than 30 frames per second. I think that's the reason why a lot of people initially hated, outside of the look of the game, but the gameplay with DMC, Devil May Cry. All the games are in 60, and this one comes out in 30. So if they were to do this, they would definitely have to make sure that it was 60 somehow. But it would literally take some wizards to get that done, and also get the textures and the quality to be the same as like the Xbox One or the PS4. But could it be done? Absolutely, it could be done, but it would take some time and it would be pricey, and you need the right studio to get it done, Panic Button or something like that. Now let's talk about my own personal opinion on this, because I definitely have opinions on this, and I don't feel that Switch owners should be held at ransom somewhat, right? Okay, this game sells well, then all of a sudden, okay, we're going to get this game. It should be something that they should have confidence in, but at the same time, it's also something that I can see Capcom being the bum and cheap companies that they are at times, just saying, nope, we're not going to do it unless we get more money on these things. Capcom always makes bad decisions, and Capcom makes good decisions and they make bad decisions. When they make good decisions, things are really good. When they make bad decisions, things are really bad. So from a consumer standpoint, no, I don't feel that anybody should have to go out there and hope and beg or pray that this game sells well in order to get this game on Switch. So a game that's completely unrelated to the Devil May Cry franchise, and you're saying that, well, if this one does well, then maybe we'll go ahead and get this one. So it kind of holds people at ransom, or people who want Devil May Cry false hope, right? What if Dragon's Dogma does really well? Does that guarantee anything? Well, we don't know. It's a rumor at this point. But it should be more ironclad. Like, hey, if it sells X amount or Y amount, then okay, then we'll put this money into this. Now, if it was more like that, then I'd be like, okay, but there's no amount here. So it's hard for me to take this completely seriously to the point where I'm going to rage or be upset. But I can't talk about the concept of doing that. And the concept I don't like at all. Because Resident Evil Revelations did really well on the Nintendo Switch. It beat all of their sales estimates when it comes to Capcom, and that doesn't mean like Resident Evil like 7's coming over normally, right? That doesn't mean Resident Evil 2's coming over. We didn't get anything from there, so there's no guarantee even if that game does well. Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate or whatever, I mean, there's still no guarantee from what they've said based off that, since that port did well, that there's going to be something else. Now, they did say that they're bringing over more Monster Hunter, but you guys get the idea here, right? So for me, I'm looking at it this way. I'm looking at it in a way to where I don't think consumers, especially if you're a Devil May Cry fan, don't rush out there and go buy Dragon's Dogma just because you think that there's some type of sliver of hope from this rumor. Okay, never do that, because I think that that plays right into Capcom or Portcom's hands, because they don't have to prove anything. Like, they don't have to say, okay, if this does well, what does well mean? Does that mean 1 million copies? Does that mean 2 million copies? Does that mean 500,000 copies? Dragon's Dogma is pretty old, and they're selling it for $29.99, which isn't necessarily super premium or anything, but it's definitely not like as cheap as other systems. Like, you can get it for cheaper in other places, right? So it's not like, you know, it's at the lowest of the low. They're making no profit off of it. I think this port, since it was a PS3 or 360 game, they're probably porting over the vanilla base PS4 version or whatever the case is, or Xbox One version. That's cool. They're bringing that over. They're going to do some Switch stuff to it. I'm sure it's going to be solid, but at the same time, they're still charging $29.99 for it. So at the same time, like, I just don't think that these two games should be connected in a certain way to where it holds some Devil May Cry fans at ransom. So guys, don't be upset over it. In my opinion, it's not worth getting upset over what Capcom does. I mean, you can mention it and say, yo, Capcom, that's not how I want to do something, but don't get too upset over this, because this is Capcom being Capcom. If this is true, people are already getting over emotional about certain things when this isn't even confirmed fact. This is a fans translated interview. There could be an interpretation error there. There could be a translation mistake. It actually happens more often than people think, because the Japanese language to the English language can sometimes have some different connotations or implications, or they're implying certain things, or maybe they're joking, or whatever the case is, and the translator doesn't pick that up because they aren't 100% native in both languages. Maybe they're only somewhat look good in one, but don't know all the culture and everything in the other, or vice versa, you know? So think of it that way as well. And that's kind of how I framed it on Twitter when I was like, yo, there's no way this is exactly what he had to say here. This is the first time that I've heard them say that. But what we do know, like it does say in this article, is that the Capcom producers or Devil May Cry producers have said multiple times now that they want Devil May Cry on the Switch. So maybe we get something. Maybe he meant, or maybe he implied, or maybe there was something that was implied that if there's a previous Devil May Cry game, because they have kind of hinted, I guess, at Devil May Cry coming to Switch. And I've talked about the whole port begging thing, which they went over multiple different times now. This is the third separate article that we've heard when it comes to Devil May Cry and asking developers. Now every single freaking developer that gets interviewed on Devil May Cry 5 is being asked questions about Switch, and something new comes out at this point as they make their rounds for DMC coming out. So it's interesting. It's one of those things to where it's a rumor, so please take it as that. As you can clearly see right here, guys, it does say rumor, because it does say according to a fan translation of the interview, which can have some errors. It can have some errors, guys. So check out the link in the description below. You guys can see what people are saying. What are your thoughts on this, guys? I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Please let me know. Drop a comment, hit that like button, all that good stuff. Let me know about this, man. Let me know what you guys think. All right, guys, that wraps it up for this video here. Go ahead and check out the links in the description below. We got Facebook and Twitter. Go ahead and give us a like and a follow on our social media. It really helps us spread the content of PlayerEssence across the internet. It's just to YouTube. Also, make sure you check out our Patreon, Twitch, and YouTube live gaming pages. Hit that like button if you did like this video. Let me know you guys want more content like this going forward in the future. And subscribe to PlayerEssence for the latest RPG, Japanese, and Nintendo gaming news. Thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna catch you ninja for the next video. Peace.